Hi, I'd like to welcome everyone to our very first virtual annual community meeting. It's a first for a lot of organizations, and for us, we're going to try to keep this as brief as possible. I'd like to acknowledge that we're on Treaty 1 territory at the crossroads of the Anishinaabe, the Métis, the Cree, the Dakota, and the Oji-Cree nations. And it's the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe peoples and the homeland of the Métis Nation. And that, in a sense, frames, we often have a prayer or a blessing at the beginning of our meetings, and I think in some way that has become a bit of a prayer and a blessing, helping us to focus on the sacredness of the land that we're on. Of course, we're in a different land now, we're in a virtual land. I hope many of you have received our annual report in the mail or possibly electronically. And of course, for those who didn't, you can connect to it on our website at rossbrookhouse.ca, and you can get that report. And in it is my report and some stories about Rossbrook during the year, and the kind of a snapshot of the past year. And of course, when we're talking about the year, we're talking about until March 31st of 2020. And of course, March was such a different kind of month, and launched us into this situation that we're now in with the global pandemic. But I wanted to assure people that leading up to that month, all the things that we regularly do at Rossbrook House, all the activities that we'd planned, they came as they normally did, and we had a great year. Very successfully ran the programs. We had some exciting. It was the first time the Sons of Italy held their annual Christmas dinner on Christmas Eve right at Rossbrook House, and that was a beautiful event that we hope becomes an annual one. Once again, we got, the younger children got a chance to go to the St. Boniface Youth Bio Lab, and that it was in its second year, and again the kids were able to get in a couple of sessions before the crisis hit, and we all had to begin to isolate or restrict the programming at Rossbrook House. But it was a good year, numbers were good, people were happy. In some ways that whole period gets a bit overshadowed by the situation we're in now, and which I will talk about now, just to say that in March, when the restrictions were put in place and the school left a week prior to spring break, and of course at that time decided that they wouldn't be back for the rest of the year, we were faced, we're usually 24 hours whenever school's out, and we knew that so many doors were closing, and so we decided that we would stay open 24 hours so that we'd always be available during this period, as essential service for youth and children in need of a place to go, a safe place to go. And, I can't thank the Rossbrook staff enough for their incredible commitment to this process and to doing this, and no muss, no fuss. They were just, we've got to keep the doors open, and we've been doing that. Now I'm talking to you, of course, at a much later time in July, and we've managed to stay open those 24 hours. And many older teens and youth have used Rossbrook House as a shelter during this period, so that they didn't have to be unsafe on the streets. And we've appreciated being able to help them out during this time. And at the same time, we had to curtail many of the regular programs that would bring the kids in and where all the wonderful things happen and the outings. But sometime in June, we began to bring those back, and we're still in the process of bringing back all the programs, but the young children and youth are back in the building, and That's wonderful. And we've even begun some of the summer outings, and I know we've taken kids to the beach a couple of times already, and we've had other outings to the Forks and local parks. So summer is not canceled. That's what we were hoping, that we're still providing a really interesting summer for the kids in the neighborhood. We've taken precautions like everybody else to keep people safe. So I think everybody is probably tired of hearing people say, stay 6 feet apart and wash your hands, and all the things that we've all done during this period. But I must say that the Rossbrook staff have been fantastic. Our board has been terrific in supporting us keeping the doors open. And I can't thank our supporters enough for making that possible. Like there needs to be a circle of support at Rossbrook House, and you've certainly given us that. Most of the people who are looking in are part of that group of supporters, and our big core funders, the United Way, and the province and the city continued to fund us, and the United Way even kicking in some extra help when we had to put on extra staff during this period, and also the Winnipeg Foundation getting behind us, and the Federal Homelessness Initiative through End Homeless Winnipeg also gave us a grant so that we could keep the doors open at Rossbrook House. Then there's just all the wonderful private donors that we have who really stepped up during this period, and I can't thank you all enough. It's made such a difference for people who the doors would be closed to otherwise. Okay, and now we'll hear from our board chair, Dennis Bracken. Some other virtual location will be coming to you.
Hello everyone, I'm Dennis Bracken, President of the Board of Directors of Rossbrook House. We on the board continue to be honored to have the opportunity to work with the children, youth, and families who come to Rossbrook House every day of the year. We are guided, as always, by the words of Sister Geraldine McNamara's vision: no child who does not want to be alone should ever have to be. And the mission of Rossbrook House to provide a safe place for children and youth to belong, play, learn, and become. We have done our best to work with everyone to confront the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic this year. We remained open and available to the community while helping our staff to stay safe. The challenge was unprecedented, but as always, our staff rose to the occasion, and we've been able to function as close to normal as possible, always keeping Sister Jerry's vision in the forefront. We are grateful for the generous support of our many funders. These include individuals, organizations, businesses, labor groups, church groups, sports groups, and our 3 sustaining funders, the City of Winnipeg, the Province of Manitoba, and the United Way. Thank you.
We'll now switch virtual locations again to visit with Gil Grenier, our board treasurer, and he will present the Rossbrook financial situation to you.
Thank you, Phil, for the introduction, and thank you for everyone else for viewing the Rossbrook House 2020 annual community meeting. I'm going to review at a high level the financial results for the fiscal year ended March 31st, 2020. This past fiscal year, Rossbrook House continued to provide 3 alternative school programs, an after-school homework club, a young mums group, sports and recreational activities, camping adventures, cooking classes, cultural activities, leadership program, music programs, to name simply a few of the programs. To provide all this and to be open for 365 days a year and 24 hours every weekend and during school holidays, the annual programming and administration costs of Rossbrook House were just shy of $1.8 million, nearly exactly the same amount incurred the previous fiscal year. Our continued support from our generous long-term funders, the Province of Manitoba, the City of Winnipeg, and the United Way, contributed to covering 54% of our programming and administrative costs, or $939,000, compared to 53% the previous fiscal year. As the Rossbrook House Foundation grows and establishes strong community ties, Rossbrook House continues to receive directly donations from individuals, businesses, private foundation, and other organizations. This past year, we were able to raise $458,000 compared to $589,000 in the previous fiscal year. After accounting for the sustaining funding from the province, the city, and United Way of $939,000, and the various donations we received directly of $458,000, Rossbrook House incurred a shortfall of $271,000 compared to a shortfall of $219,000 for the previous fiscal year. Rossbrook House Foundation contributed $213,000 to help cover this shortfall, compared to $294,000 for the previous year, in order to ensure our operating costs were covered. The Foundation's objective is to continue to develop a long-term source of income for Rossbrook House by fundraising, investing major gifts and legacy bequests received, and growing those funds. For more details about the fiscal year end March 31st, 2020, audited financial statements are available upon request. I would like to take this moment to thank Tom Thompson, the long-term Director of Finance and Administration who retired this summer, for his assistance and support in making my role much easier as Chair of the Finance Committee. I wish him all the best in his retirement. Thank you. And thank you for attending this meeting.
On behalf of the Rossbrook Governance Committee, chaired by John Burchill, I'd like to introduce our board members to you. That will be done on screen, so you can read those, but I'll tell you that we appreciate each one of them so much. We have one retiring member, Noelle DePap, is leaving us after her term expired, and Noelle just did a wonderful job on the board, and she really encouraged us to do great work, and we wish Noelle all the best, and just thank her for her time serving on the board. The board also decided, because of the COVID situation, not to change any of the executive positions at the annual general meeting, and so the executive that we have will carry on over the next year. So Dennis will continue as the chair, and Brenda as the vice, and Gil as the treasurer, and John as the chair of the governance committee, and of course Karen as our secretary. At this time, I'd like to call up the past chair, Ron Bailey, to his virtual location, and to he'll introduce our new chair of the foundation board.
First, I'd like to say thank you to so many of you who've been able to support Rossbrook House by making a gift to the foundation. Your generosity helps keep the doors open 365 days a year and 24/7 on weekends and holidays. This has been even more important this year with the pandemic, and Rossbrook House has been open since March for children and youth to make sure that they have a safe place during this unprecedented time. The foundation was established to raise funds for Rossbrook House, to ensure that the funds raised are managed carefully, and to make sure that our donors are kept up to date on how their gifts are making a difference, and to say thank you. Over the last year, the Rossbrook House Foundation has undertaken 2 or 3 mailings out to supporters, and many of you would have received those. We've also undertaken planning for the next No Child Alone dinner, which is coming up in January of 2021 with Kevin Chief as our speaker. We've undertaken a ladies' luncheon to invite members of the community to find out more about Rossbrook and our services and programs. We've undertaken some policy development and refined some of the ways that we work, and we've undertaken outreach to donors through phone calls, mailings, and meetings like this to keep them up to speed on the programs and services which are offered to children and youth, as well as hear any questions or concerns they have about the foundation or programs at Rossbrook. I'm going to be leaving my role as the chair of the foundation, and I'll be followed by Jane Quinton. Jane is a longtime member of the board and will do a stellar job. So I'd like to introduce you to Jane Quinton. Thank you.
While things may look a bit different these days, we are finding new ways to connect and engage with the community. So welcome. I'm Jane Quinton, and I'm proud to serve as the Rossbrook House Foundation Board Chair. I have been a Foundation Board member since 2016, and I look forward to my term ahead as Board Chair, alongside a wonderful group of dedicated and hard-working volunteer board members. The Foundation works hard to raise and manage the funds necessary to support the vital services which Rossbrook House provides. All the daily programming, outings, and fun activities for children and youth, 365 days of the year. With that, I'm excited to share a couple upcoming events with you. The men's luncheon is scheduled for September 14th, and our No Child Alone fundraising dinner happens on January 21st at Canada Inn's Polo Park. We are thrilled to welcome Kevin Chief as the No Child Alone dinner keynote speaker. The theme of the No Child Alone dinner is Doors Open. Rossbrook House has kept its doors open 365 days of the year since 1976 to children and youth who need a safe place to belong, play, learn, and become. Tickets are on sale now on the Rossbrook website. We hope to see you there. Until then, stay healthy, stay safe, and have a wonderful summer.
And of course, this year we had the retirement of a key staff member. After 31 years, our finance and administration director, Tom Thompson, was hanging up his calculator and moving on in his journey to new adventures. And we just can't thank Tom enough for the time that he gave to Rossbrook House and to the cause, and just the tremendous integrity and passion he brought to the work, and obviously created a very reputable, accountable financial system for Rossbrook House. So thank you, Tom. We all wish you the very best. And we were lucky enough that we now have on staff Bridget Cabral, our new finance and administration manager. And Bridget brings a lot of experience and a lot of enthusiasm and actual passion for the work too. So we're so lucky in that position. And she will carry on a tradition of integrity in that position from Tom Thompson. So best to Tom, and welcome to Bridget.